All right, people. The heightened sense of the crisis of the Cold War, so evident in Truman's proclamation, has fortunately eased. The legislative shortcomings contained in this body of laws can be corrected on the basis of rational study and inquiry. In the view of the special committee, an emergency does not now exist. Congress, therefore, should act in the near future to terminate officially the states of national emergency now in effect. Well, if they do, there's still now new ones. So, wouldn't matter if they take all the old ones off the books, because we got new ones here for infinity. This is just figuratively speaking. There's no way we're going to be around for infinity. At least I pray not. What a pox. At the same time, the special committee is of the view that it is essential to provide the means for the executive to act effectively in an emergency. It is reasonable to have a body of laws in readiness to delegate to the President extraordinary powers to use in times of real national emergency. The portion of the concurring opinion given by Justice Jackson in the Youngstown Steel case with regard to emergency powers provides sound and pertinent guidelines for the maintenance of such a body of emergency laws kept in readiness to be used in times of extreme crisis. Justice Jackson, supporting the majority opinion that the President's power must stem either from an act of Congress or from the Constitution itself, wrote. Now, I got to say something here. I can see how this came about. Look at what we got going on in Congress now, filibustering. So, say something of a real crisis came up, and it is up to Congress to do something about it. Are they going to be there playing their damn party politics, or are they going to be looking for the welfare of the nation? That's what I got to wonder. We've got so many self-serving, pretentious people that I can't say that it would be wrong to take these powers from the president, considering who the hell we got in Congress. I mean, how do we really know the character of the people that we elect into any government position, because we've such a massive nation now? That's where our problem lies. How do you judge the character of someone? You can't do it on just a little bit of campaigning speeching. I mean, hell, anybody can say anything that they think everybody wants to hear. P.T. Barnum, he put it pretty good. Sucker born every minute. All right, I'm sorry. All right, this is from Justice Jackson, supporting the majority opinion. And this is what he wrote. The appeal, however, that we declare the existence of inherent powers are necessary to meet an emergency ask us to do what many think would be wise, although it is something the forefathers omitted. They knew what emergencies were, knew the pressures they engender for authoritative action, knew too how they afford a ready pretext for usurpation. We may also suspect that they suspected that emergency powers would tend to kindle emergencies. Aside from suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus in time of rebellion or invasion, when the public safety may require it, they make no express provision for exercise of extraordinary authority because of a crisis. I do not think we rightfully may so amend their work, and if we could, I am not convinced it would be wise to do so. Although many modern nations have forthrightly recognized that war and economic crises may upset the normal balance between liberty and authority, their experience with emergency powers may not be irrelevant to the argument here that we should say that the executive of his own violation can invest himself with undefined emergency powers. Germany, after the First World War, framed the Weimar Constitution, designed to secure her liberties in the Western tradition. However, the President of the Republic, without concurrence of the Reichstag, was empowered temporarily to suspend any or all individual rights if public safety and order was seriously disturbed or endangered. This proved a temptation to every government, whatever its shade of opinion, and in 13 years suspension of rights was invoked on more than 250 occasions. Finally, Hitler persuaded President von Hindenburg to suspend all such rights, and they were never restored. The French Republic, excuse me, typo. The French Republic provided for a very different kind of emergency government known as the state of siege. It differed from the German emergency dictatorship, particularly in that emergency powers could not be assumed at will by the executive, but could only be granted as a parliamentary measure. Again, I get back to the fact. What happens if there's a gridlock? We could be wiped out. So there's pros and cons with this, people. I'm not smart enough to say what should be or shouldn't be. It's to greater minds than me. And it did not, as in Germany, result in a suspension or abrogation of law, but was a legal institution governed by special legal rules and terminable by parliamentary authority. Great Britain also has fought both world wars under a sort of temporary dictatorship. Check my time. Okay, I'm still good. Created by legislation. As Parliament is not bound by written constitutional limitations, it established a crisis government simply by delegation to its ministers of a larger measure than usual of its own unlimited power, which is exercised under its supervision by ministers whom it may dismiss. This has been called the high water mark in the voluntary surrender of liberty. But as Churchill put it, Parliament stands custodian of these surrendered liberties, and its most sacred duty will be to restore them in their fullness when victory has crowned our exertions and our perseverance. Thus, parliamentary controls made emergency powers compatible with freedom. This contemporary foreign experience may be inconclusive as to the wisdom of lodging emergency powers somewhere in a modern government, but it suggests that emergency powers are consistent with free government only when their control is lodged elsewhere than in the executive who exercises them. That is the safeguard that would be nullified by our adoption of the inherent pointers formula. Nothing in my experience convinces me that such risks are warranted by any real necessity, although such powers would, of course, be an executive conveyance. And I'd like to point out again about divine right of rule, Romans 13, that they're going to spout off. That wasn't in the original scripture. That is what King James put in his official government publication of the King James Version of our Bible, because of his mother's Mary Stuart. And under such, you deserve whatever government you get. If you're a righteous nation and you even have an evil devil ruling you, you deserve it. If you're a wicked nation and you have a righteous man, you deserve it. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. I just can't get my head around that. All right, so actually I'm going to close out on that, and we're almost at the end, people. And let me just get back to where I was, so I'll be able to pick it back up for you. I'm hoping this ain't too hard on you guys. Well, you folks. Didn't mean to be disrespectful.